Don't sign it. The trembling voice tore through the silence of the room. Everyone jolted and turned. It was the cleaning lady, holding a bucket that clattered loudly against the marble floor. The millionaire froze, his pen hovering a breath above the contract. The lawyers exchanged uneasy glances, one of them quickly covering the documents with his palm. The partners started speaking all at once, trying to drown her words. But the woman stood firm in the center, staring straight into his eyes, and in that look was something that made everyone sense danger. One of the partners jumped to his feet and shouted, "Get her out!" A guard stepped forward, but the millionaire unexpectedly raised his hand, stopping him. His gaze moved from the papers to the woman, and something in her voice struck him harder than a dozen legal arguments. Everyone felt it. Her simple phrase carried a threat strong enough to shatter the entire deal. The hall erupted in a low roar. Some laughed, others whispered nervously. The cleaning lady remained calm, as if she knew the game would unravel today. "You don't even realize what you're signing," she said softly, yet clearly. Silence fell again, heavy as stone. The pen slipped from his fingers and rolled across the table, stopping near the edge. No one moved to pick it up. The guard shifted uneasily, waiting for the next order. The lawyers leaned closer, whispering in panic, their words sharp but inaudible. The millionaire's eyes narrowed. He wasn't sure why, but he couldn't look away from her. "Say it again," he demanded, his voice low but steady. The partners erupted, protesting, trying to cut her off, but his raised hand silenced the room. For the first time that morning, the authority in his voice cracked the wall of their pressure. The woman's breath hitched. Her fingers tightened around the mop handle until her knuckles whitened. She didn't step back. "Don't sign. If you do, you'll lose more than money." Her words dropped into the silence like a stone into water, ripples spreading through every corner of the hall. One of the partners slammed his palm on the table. "This is ridiculous." His face flushed, but his eyes betrayed fear. He didn't dare look at her. Another lawyer tried to shuffle the papers away, sliding them into his folder as if to hide them. The millionaire caught the movement. "Leave them," he ordered. His voice was sharper now. The lawyer froze, caught in mid-motion. All eyes were back on her. She swallowed hard, but when she spoke, her voice no longer shook. "You think she's powerless," she said, her eyes flicking to the partner who had shouted first. "But she knows." Gasps rippled across the table. That one glance, that one unfinished sentence, was enough to change the air completely. The deal, the power, the confidence, all of it suddenly felt fragile. The millionaire leaned forward, elbows on the table, his gaze locked on the woman. "What do you know?" he asked. His words weren't a demand, they were a challenge. But she didn't answer. Not yet. Instead, she stepped closer, the echo of her shoes on the marble filling the silence. Every second of her hesitation only deepened the question burning in everyone's mind: what truth could stop this pen from signing? The millionaire didn't look at the lawyers or the restless partners. His eyes were fixed on her, the woman who should have been invisible. His pulse hammered in his temples, but his voice came out steady. "Sit down," he ordered the guard. "She stays." The room froze. The partners exchanged furious glances, but no one dared speak first. Finally, one leaned forward, his voice sharp as broken glass. "You're letting a janitor dictate your future. She's nothing. This is madness." The woman didn't flinch. "I may be nothing to you," she said, her voice stronger now, "but I heard what none of you wanted him to hear." She tightened her grip on the mop handle as if it were a shield. Murmurs rippled through the room. The lawyers whispered to each other, frantic to contain the damage, but the millionaire cut through the noise. He pushed the contract back across the table. "No one touches this until I say so." His decision hit like a thunderclap. One of the lawyers shot to his feet, panic in his eyes. You don't understand, time is critical. If we delay, the entire deal collapses. His voice cracked on the last word. Then let it, the millionaire replied coldly. For the first time, he felt control return to him, not to them. But before he could speak again, the double doors creaked open. Another man stepped inside, tall, with a folder tucked under his arm. His suit was sharp, his expression harder. "Am I interrupting?" he asked, his voice too calm for the storm in the room. The partners stiffened. The cleaning lady's knuckles turned white. She took one small step back, eyes fixed on the newcomer. He noticed. The millionaire's jaw tightened. He didn't know this man, and that unsettled him more than the woman's warning. "Who are you?" he demanded. The man's lips curved into a thin smile. "Someone who doesn't like delays." He dropped the folder on the table with a heavy thud. Papers spilled out across the polished wood, covering the unsigned contract. For the first time since the outburst, the millionaire felt the ground shift beneath him. He had made his choice to stop. But with the arrival of this stranger, the silence cracked into something far more dangerous. And deep down, he knew, the game had only just begun. The folder spread across the table like a challenge. The millionaire's eyes darted over the unfamiliar papers, sharp strokes of ink, contracts stamped with names he didn't recognize. He pushed them aside, jaw tightening. "You don't walk in here and hijack my meeting," he said, voice firm. The stranger didn't blink. "Then perhaps you should ask yourself why your partners didn't tell you I'd be here." His words sliced through the air. The partners shifted in their seats, avoiding the millionaire's gaze. The room grew heavier, suffocating with secrets. The cleaning lady gripped her mop tighter, her breathing uneven. She whispered, almost to herself, "So it's true." The millionaire caught the words and turned to her sharply. "What's true? Speak." But before she could, the stranger tapped the table. "You don't want to hear it from her. You'll hear it from me," he said. "These papers represent a merger that strips you of control. You'll still be rich, yes, but you'll no longer be free." The millionaire's fist slammed against the table. "And you think I'll let that happen?" He shoved the folder back at him. His voice rose, controlled fury vibrating through every word. "I've built everything I have fighting men like you. I won't sign away my name." One of the partners finally broke. "You don't have a choice." His shout rang out, desperate. The lawyers froze, the guard took a step back. In that moment, the millionaire understood, they weren't his allies anymore. He stood. "Then I make my choice now. The contract is off." His decision thundered through the room, undeniable. For a fleeting second, he felt victory. But then the stranger's smile widened. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a slim envelope, sliding it across the table toward the millionaire. "Then perhaps you'll want to see this first. Before you pretend you're free." The cleaning lady gasped. One partner paled. The envelope sat between them all, heavy with something darker than ink or signatures. The millionaire hesitated, his hand hovering over it. And as the room held its breath, one truth burned in his mind: whatever was inside would change everything. The envelope sat in front of him like a trap. The millionaire's hand hovered, fingers trembling with the weight of a choice. Around him, the partners leaned forward, silent but eager. The stranger's gaze never wavered. And the cleaning lady shook her head almost imperceptibly, as if warning him not to touch it. He broke the silence. "What is this?" His voice was firm, but lower now, heavy. The stranger's smile was thin. "Proof. Open it, and you'll understand why no signature will save you." The millionaire exhaled slowly, then pushed the envelope back across the table. "If it's proof, you say it out loud." His refusal cracked the stranger's composure for a heartbeat, a small victory. The man's jaw tightened, but he quickly masked it with calm. "You're bold," the stranger said, voice quieter now. "But boldness without knowledge is suicide." The cleaning lady suddenly stepped forward, surprising everyone. "Don't let him control the moment," she whispered urgently. Her eyes burned with fear and defiance at once. The millionaire met her gaze, and for a split second, believed she was the only one in the room who wasn't lying to him. One partner snapped, slamming his hand on the table. "Enough games. He needs to see it now." His voice cracked under pressure. The millionaire seized the moment, pointing at him. "Why are you so desperate? What's in here that makes you afraid?" The room shifted. For the first time, it wasn't just him against the stranger. Doubt crept into the faces of others, a ripple of uncertainty. But before anyone could answer, the stranger calmly reached for the envelope and slid it back toward the millionaire. His voice was almost a whisper, but it carried through the hall. "It's not about the contract. It's about her." All eyes turned toward the cleaning lady. She froze, clutching the mop handle so tightly her knuckles went white. The millionaire's breath caught. He didn't move, didn't blink, but his world tilted. He had fought for control of his empire for years, but now, somehow, this woman, the least powerful person in the room, was at the center of everything. And the envelope, still unopened, waited like a silent promise of devastation. The room's silence pressed like a weight on his chest. Every face turned toward the woman who should have been invisible, yet now stood at the heart of the storm. The millionaire forced himself to breathe evenly, though inside the pressure built like fire. "What does she have to do with this?" he asked, his voice breaking the hush. The stranger leaned back, almost enjoying the chaos. "Ask her," he said simply. The cleaning lady's lips parted, but no words came. She looked down, eyes clouded with shame or fear, he couldn't tell which. The partners seized the hesitation like predators. "She's stalling," one barked. "This is all a distraction." Another added, "You're risking everything listening to her. We lose the deal, we lose millions." Their voices rose, clashing in the air, feeding the pressure. The millionaire slammed his palm on the table. "Enough." The room stilled. He turned to the woman. "If you know something, say it now. I can't protect you if you stay silent." His voice cracked on the last words, not weakness, but urgency. Her eyes lifted, brimming with conflict. For a moment she seemed ready to speak, but then one of the lawyers cut in sharply. "She has no proof. Don't you see? This is manipulation. You're throwing away your empire." The millionaire's chest tightened. For the first time, doubt crept in. What if they were right? What if he was gambling everything on the words of someone who had nothing? He saw the mocking faces of his partners, the cold calculation in the stranger's eyes, and the trembling fear in hers. And he realized he couldn't stand still. "I'll take that risk," he said, his voice firm now. He pulled the contract toward him and, with one swift motion, ripped it clean down the middle. Gasps filled the room. The partners erupted in outrage, the lawyers shouted, but it was done. The deal was dead. For a heartbeat, he felt victory. Then the stranger stood, calm as ever. "You think you've chosen freedom," he said, almost softly. He placed a hand on the envelope, sliding it closer again. "But you've only chosen the harder path. Because the truth doesn't vanish when you tear paper." The cleaning lady's face drained of color. She whispered one word under her breath, so faint only the millionaire caught it. His heart lurched. And in that single word was the promise of a battle far bigger than a contract. The torn contract still lay across the table like broken chains, but the envelope now burned between them as the true weight. The millionaire's breath was shallow, his pulse heavy. He had taken his stand, destroyed the deal, yet the room hadn't shifted in his favor. Instead, the air was thicker, colder. The stranger pressed the envelope toward him again. You've declared war on paper. But this cuts deeper. His eyes flicked to the cleaning lady. She knows what's inside. Don't you? Her lips trembled. She glanced at the millionaire, then back to the floor. It shouldn't have come to this, she whispered. The partners leaned forward like a pack sensing blood. What is she hiding? Speak, one demanded. Another sneered, she's playing both sides. The millionaire's hand clenched into a fist. Enough. His voice shook with exhaustion but carried authority. No one here moves until I understand what this is. He forced himself upright, though his body felt heavier than ever, as if every choice drained more strength. He reached for the envelope, then stopped. His instincts screamed caution. Not yet, he muttered, pulling his hand back. That hesitation drew smirks from the partners, but the stranger only studied him, curious. You're afraid, the man said smoothly. No, the millionaire replied, though sweat prickled his brow. I've learned to wait for the right moment. It was the woman who finally broke the silence. She lifted her eyes, and for the first time her voice carried strength. What he wants you to see isn't about the company. It's about the past. Your past. The room erupted in whispers. The millionaire's chest tightened, a past he thought buried, now clawing back to the surface. He wanted to demand answers, to rip the truth free, but his throat constricted. He saw her face, pale and resolute, and he knew she held more power than he had allowed himself to believe. The stranger's smirk returned. Go on then. Tell him. But she stayed silent. 1 heartbeat. 2. The tension snapped like a wire pulled too tight. The millionaire slammed his fist again. Then I'll find out myself. His hand hovered over the envelope, trembling with both anger and fatigue. And just as his fingers brushed the flap, the doors burst open behind him. The heavy doors slammed against the walls. 2 men in dark suits strode inside, their presence sharp enough to slice through the tension already hanging thick. They didn't speak, they simply moved toward the partners, exchanging quick nods like soldiers arriving to secure a victory already won. The millionaire's chest tightened. Who called them? He demanded. No one answered. But their silence said enough. His own team had turned. One of the newcomers dropped a thick folder in front of the partners. Signed authorizations. He doesn't control the board anymore. The words cut through him like steel. He lunged forward, snatching the folder open, and froze. Every page was marked with signatures. His partners. His supposed allies. One by one, they had already betrayed him. You went behind me? His voice broke with rage, eyes darting from face to face. Not one of them could meet his stare. This is business, one muttered, but his tone shook with shame. The millionaire staggered back, the weight of years of loyalty collapsing in a single moment. For the first time, he felt small in his own empire. His knees trembled, but he gripped the table to stay upright. And then, a whisper. They can't erase you. The cleaning lady's voice, faint but firm, reached him through the noise. Her eyes locked with his. Not if you fight smart. It was the smallest spark, but it caught. Even as despair clawed at him, he straightened his back. Betrayal had cut him deep, but he was not finished. The stranger leaned closer, his smile sharper now. You see? Your world collapses without my hand. Open the envelope, and you might still salvage what's left. The millionaire's fingers brushed the sealed edge again, trembling not with fear this time, but fury. He had lost the board. He had lost his allies. Yet somewhere in that envelope, and in the eyes of the woman everyone dismissed, lay the path to either ruin or redemption. And then, one of the suited men spoke for the first time. If he doesn't open it, we have orders to remove him. The room went silent. All eyes turned to the millionaire, standing alone, the envelope between his fingers, with danger closing in from every side. The millionaire's hand shook as the suited men edged closer, their threat hanging like a blade. The envelope lay between his fingers, every second stretching like an eternity. His heart pounded, not just from fear of losing control of the company, but from the gnawing suspicion that what lay inside would pierce deeper than any betrayal already endured. He drew a breath. "You want me gone?" His voice echoed through the room. "Then you'll hear my choice first." He tore the seal open, but instead of pulling out the papers, he slammed the envelope flat against the table. "No one reads this but me. Not you. Not the board. Not anyone." The partners erupted in protest. The lawyers shouted warnings. The stranger leaned forward, amused but watchful. "You think you can fight shadows with pride?" The millionaire ignored them all. He looked straight at the cleaning lady. "If it's about me," he said, his voice low but deliberate, "then say it. Because if I don't hear it now, I walk out of here and burn this whole deal with me." Her eyes widened, fear and courage clashing within them. She opened her mouth, then hesitated, her glance darting to the suited men, then to the stranger. "It's not just you," she whispered finally. "It's your name. It's what they've tied it to." The words hit like ice in his veins. He demanded, "What do you mean, my name?" Before she could answer, one of the suited men yanked a phone from his pocket and placed it on the table. A video flickered to life, grainy footage, but unmistakable. His own signature flashed across a page, attached to documents he had never seen before. Gasps filled the room. "Forgery," someone hissed. The millionaire's breath caught. If that video spread, the world would believe he had already surrendered everything. His empire, his reputation, his legacy, gone in an instant. He clenched his fists. "Destroy it," he growled. The stranger leaned back, smiling thinly. "Not unless you agree to my terms." The millionaire straightened, his face pale but determined. His path was narrowing, every choice poisoned. Still, he chose. He shoved the torn contract aside, pulled the envelope back to his chest, and said firmly, "Then I'll find another way. Without you." The room exploded in outrage. But before anyone could react, the cleaning lady's voice cut through the chaos, trembling yet clear. "You can't fight them alone. Because I'm the reason your name is in those papers." The hall fell into stunned silence. The millionaire froze, staring at her, his chest tight, his world tilting again. And in that moment, the greatest threat he faced was no longer the board, the stranger, or the deal, it was her. Her words hit harder than any betrayal before. "I'm the reason your name is in those papers." The millionaire's world spun. He gripped the edge of the table, struggling to keep himself upright as rage and disbelief crashed through him. "Explain," he demanded, his voice raw. The cleaning lady's eyes shimmered with pain. "Years ago, I worked in the offices you never saw. They used your name, your signature, for transactions you never touched. I tried to stop it, but they silenced me. And when I stayed silent, I became part of it." The partners erupted in defense, voices colliding. "She lies. She's covering for herself. You can't believe her." Their desperation reeked of guilt, but the noise blurred into a single wave pressing against him. The stranger raised his hand, cutting through the chaos. "She's telling the truth. And now you see why she begged you not to sign. The paper wasn't just business, it was the noose around your neck." The millionaire staggered back, his chest tight. Every battle he had fought, every empire he built, all of it now threatened by a fraud laced with his own name. His vision blurred with the weight of collapse. "You let them use me?" His voice cracked as he turned on her. She flinched but didn't break. "I thought I could undo it later," she whispered. "I was wrong. His hand trembled over the envelope still clutched in his grip. He could burn it, tear it apart, pretend none of it existed. But deep down he knew the truth wouldn't vanish. The stranger's smile only confirmed it. "You see? You have nothing left to bargain with," the man said softly. "The board is gone. The world believes the papers. And the only person who tried to save you, has already condemned you." The millionaire's knees nearly buckled. For the first time, he felt the ground slip away completely. He had lost control, lost allies, and even the woman who had seemed his only chance was tied to his downfall. Yet in the wreckage, a spark of defiance ignited. His jaw clenched, his voice a low growl, "If everything is already taken, then I've got nothing left to lose." The partners fell silent. The stranger tilted his head, intrigued. The cleaning lady's eyes widened with fear. And as the envelope trembled in his hands, the room seemed to brace for impact, the sense that one more breath, one more word, would shatter everything. The room felt like a battlefield frozen on the edge of collapse. The millionaire stood with the envelope in his hand, torn between ruin and defiance. His voice was low but steady. "You've taken everything from me. My board, my allies, even my name. But you forgot one thing, I'm still here." The stranger's smile flickered, but he leaned closer. "What can one man do against all of this?" The millionaire ripped the envelope open. Pages spilled onto the table, forged agreements, falsified signatures, timelines tying him to deals he never touched. Gasps rippled across the hall. For the first time, everyone could see the full scope of the trap. He didn't flinch. Instead, he raised one page high, holding it for all to see. "This is not my failure. It's theirs." He pointed at the partners, who shrank in their chairs. "They betrayed this company, betrayed me, and thought I'd stay silent. But silence is over." The cleaning lady stepped forward, her voice trembling but clear. "I'll testify. I was there. I saw how they used his name." Her courage, once hidden, now cut through the noise like a blade. The partners shouted, denying, but their panic betrayed them. Security shifted uneasily, even the lawyers hesitated. The truth was bleeding into the open. The stranger stood, his calm finally cracked. "You think a testimony will save you? You're finished." The millionaire turned on him, fire in his eyes. "No. We're finished with you." He gestured to the guards. For the first time, they hesitated, then moved toward the partners, not him. The balance of power snapped. As the men were pulled back, their protests echoing, the millionaire felt the weight lift from his chest. He wasn't signing his freedom away. He had reclaimed it. Not through contracts, not through compromise, but through the courage to burn everything false and stand on truth. He looked at the cleaning lady, who met his gaze with tears in her eyes. She had been part of the trap, yes, but she had also given him the spark to fight. And he understood, sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected places. The stranger's voice rose one last time, desperate. "You'll regret this. Without them, you have nothing." The millionaire's answer was calm, unshakable. "I don't need them. I never did. I'll rebuild with people who believe, not people who betray." And with that, he dropped the forged pages into the trash, the sound of paper falling louder than any contract ever signed. The room was silent. But in that silence, he felt it, freedom, victory, the raw power of starting again. He had lost an empire on paper, but gained back something greater, himself. And as he walked out of the hall, every eye followed him, not with pity, but with awe.